Ah, yes, Columbia. The land of opportunity and equality. Or so it seems. The youngest country in Terra. Columbia was once a small Victorian colony of various city-states in their northwest barren land territory. But during Victorian conflicts with the Gaulish Empire, the settlers of this colony took this chance to declare their independence. But of course the Duke who was in charge of this colony won't let that happen. However, because mainland Victoria was too busy with their own things, Victoria has sent no assistance to the Duke of this wasteland. And thus the colony managed to win the fight and declare their independence. And Columbia was born. Over the years Columbia has slowly expanded its territory and influence. It uses the idea of the Columbian dream to attract people and help grow the nation. No matter what country you are from, race, infected or not, you are almost certainly welcome to Columbia and has the same freedom and the chance to become success as everybody else. And this is part of the reason why the people of Columbia are more diverse compared to other countries. Columbia has always been focusing to expand their settlement to the west, where the barren land full of dangerous environment and creatures are located. To make this expansion reality, the government and some megacorp hires people to pioneer those barren land. The pioneers mainly consists of lower class citizens and immigrants. But it's also famous for becoming an escape for those who are in debt, infected who refuse to be put into the quarantine zone, and petty criminal who wants to avoid getting thrown into jail. And talking about infected, Columbian treat the infected decently. But only if you have the money to pay for the extremely expensive insurance. Or you have a high value to certain organization or firm. If you don't, then it's either the quarantine zone or becoming a pioneer. Most will choose the latter, as the treatment at the quarantine zone is considered worse than being in a prison. And if you choose to become a pioneer, the pioneers are responsible to secure an area in the barren land and establish residential areas. Some will settle down and cultivate that area under the nation or company's name, while some others will keep working to another construction or expansion project. Although those pioneers are considered the lifeblood of Columbia's westward expansion, but they always become a target of ill treatment and social neglection. Besides Columbia's westward expansion, Columbia, with the help of its many megacorporations, is also pursuing technological supremacy in Terra, in an effort to triumph over other Terran great powers. One such company that the Columbian partner with is Rhinelab. And in the story of Dorothy's vision, we will see the story of Dorothy, who came from a family of pioneers, and her effort to create her vision of a perfect world into reality, and also expand the story of Rhinelab and Columbia. Alright, we are in the nomadic city of Tremont in Columbia, the hearts of Columbian science and technology, and where Rhinelab HQ is located. The exact date of this event is unknown, but it happened sometimes after the aftershock of Victorian incident, and around 4 years since the diabolic crisis, or Saria left the Rhinelab. The first thing we see in the story is Mulces, the director of Rhine Ecological Section. She is one of Saria's insiders in Rhinelab ever since she left the company, and has found a secret plot between Ferdinand, the director energy section, with the Columbian military, specifically with someone called the Colonel, that will put harm to Kirsten, the leader of Rhinelab, and turn the company even worse. Someone is chasing her from Rhine HQ to the commercial district, and is trying to contact Kirsten, but she didn't answer. Soon Mulces is intercepted by mercenaries. Their leader, Hoolhaya, has a little chat with Mulces first, revealing Mulces is apparently an elf, believed to be an extinct race in Terra, and also revealing she's working with Ferdinand. But she's not exactly on his side. Nevertheless, she defeat Mulces and take her somewhere. On the other side of the city, it's revealed Mulces has also contacted Saria to help with the situation, and agreed to meet some time ago. Although Saria has resigned from Rhinelab, but she is still determined to make the company back to its original path and clean up its mess if necessary. Also, her resignation was never admitted by Kirsten, so she is technically still the director of Rhinelap Defense Section even after 4 years. Anyway, while waiting for Mulces, Saria received an SOS from her. Believing the situation is getting more serious, Saria requests her colleague to contact Rhodes Island branch office and inform them she needs both Kelsey and the doctor's help. Later, several kilometers away from the city, at Rhinelap test site number 359, Dorothy, the director of Originium Arts section, is conducting her experiment, along with the assistants from Energy section. And there's also a team of pioneers under Sonny Romano, who is constructing building at the test site under Rhinelap employ. Inside, we see Talopsis and Eleanor. Talopsis is at Rhinelap to do her usual report, and is currently on temporary assignment to provide medical services to the infected researcher and pioneers at the sites. While Eleanor, who is a member of the Energy section, is currently helping Dorothy as her assistant. Later on, a pioneer comes inside the lab and asks for help as one of their members has an oropathy onset. Hearing that, Talopsis and Eleanor rush in to help. But once they're inside the pioneer's quarter, the pioneers capture them to threaten the Rhinelap higher-ups. Later that afternoon, luckily Rhodes Island is currently in Columbia, and make an immediate response to both Saria's request and the kidnapping. The doctor and elite operator mechanist came to Tremounts and help Saria with Mulces, while Silence and Greyy are sent to help with the kidnapping case. In the evening, when the hostage situation is currently happening, Rhinelap Defense Section and a Tremounts police officer, Mary Banner, along with Silence and Greyy, are currently observing the place. Later, Sonny heads outside with the hostages and negotiate with the opposite team. Sonny talks with Mary via the comms. Surprisingly, they knew each other. Both were once neighbors and childhood friends. And here we knew Sonny was once a counsel. Both once have a dream to uphold justice and get rid of the criminals in Columbia. But the irony is now Sonny become a criminal himself, after contracting oropathy and running out of money to pay an insurance, and doesn't want to be thrown into a quarantine zone. Sonny started to get desperate for money and crossed the line when he breaks into Mary's house, stealing some things, and even forces Mary to give him valuables when he got caught. But after Mary's grandma caught him too, Sonny runs from that house and eventually joins the pioneers to escape. After that incident, Mary's grandma, who loves Sonny like her own grandson, was bedridden. Surprisingly, when the police asked Mary about the perpetrator, she covers Sonny from getting into a bigger trouble, and now advise Sonny to avoid getting into an even bigger one. She demands Sonny give up the hostages and surrender, but Sonny refuses unless his demand is accepted. Some pioneers have gone missing after they volunteered to be in Dorothy's experiment, and recently Sonny has found a dangerous experiment object at this site. So he wants Rhine higher-ups to stop this experiment and reveal the whereabouts of those missing pioneers. But their talk is then interrupted when Talopsis oropathy is acting up. Luckily, a pioneer named Myers gave his oropathy wristband to Talopsis. Talopsis has been good to them, so he doesn't mind. And here it's revealed the pioneers don't actually want to kidnap them, but the situation forced them to do so. Meanwhile, from the conversation with the Rhine defense members, Silence learned that Ferdinand has crossed the boundary of his rank. The defense members on this site are under his command, and the defense member said they will cut off electricity in the test site under the pressure of freezing temperatures, and no electricity to power up medical facilities for their infected member. They will surely give up or die trying. But Mary orders the defense team to give them 10 minutes and let Silence and Greyy go there and negotiate. But they cut the power before Silence done negotiating. Luckily, Silence brought a power supply drone and helped Talopsis and other infected. Outside, Greyy is helping to restore some of the power and is seen talking with Sonny. smooth talking him and telling him about how nice Rhodes Island is as a company. And even telling him he can apply to work at Rhodes Island if he wants. Sunny laughs at that, thinking he's not a chosen one like Greyy. And there's no way a company will hire a soon-to-be criminal like him. But suddenly, mysterious flying silver objects appears. It is the dangerous experiment creatures that Sunny mentioned. It has the corrosive ability to disintegrate objects around it. And seems it's going to harm the people at the test site. Wasting no time, the people inside the building moves outside. They then go to the main laboratory to take shelter. Greyy realizes those objects seems to be attracted by light and noises. So Silence suggests the able-bodied to make a distraction. While Greyy and the rest goes outside to find a docker room. Shortly, Dorothy, who is at the laboratory, talks to the group via the PA system. And tells them to head to her position at the core of the laboratory. The pioneers hesitate to do what Dorothy has said. As they accuse her for the missing pioneers and those silver constructs. Hearing that, Eleanor confronts them. How could they've done all of this when Dorothy has been so kind to them? She even goes as far as paying for the surgery of one of the pioneers' son. But what Eleanor doesn't know afterward. Sunny saw Dorothy asking that pioneer to be a part of her experiment. In exchange for an insurance so that the infected pioneer can see his son in the city. He agreed to volunteer, and that pioneer was never seen again. But Silence stops their argument. Right now it's better they follow Dorothy's instruction. Shifting to the Doc and Mechanist. Both are investigating Mulsey's last known location before she went missing. But then out of nowhere, someone in a power armor attacks them. Mechanist delivers some attacks to incapacitate that guy. But he keeps attacking as if nothing happened. Suddenly Saria comes in delivering a serious punch. Destroying the power armor, and as she expects no one is inside the armor. As they inspect the armor, Saria found a familiar silver liquid inside. According to her, this has to be the neurotransmitter. To link the operator or the caster, to control the armor. Saria knows someone who wants work with this kind of armor and liquid. So she and the other two go to meet him at the bar near the university. Meanwhile, Hoalhair and her men who are ordered by Ferdinand to make sure Rhodes Island and Saria are not interfering with his plan, can be seen observing them from afar. Shortly, the trio are in the bar and meets Saria's acquaintance to ask him who could make this liquid. The acquaintance was once a researcher and surgeon for the Loken water tank, a research company that conducted numerous unethical experiments. This guy himself was responsible to inject a similar liquid into a test subject's body. Until Loken's laboratory was disbanded, after they've been caught conducting illegal experiments. And it was Reinlab who salvaged the most from Loken's laboratory. So with that said, high probability Reinlab is the one who is behind this liquid. Mulsey's disappearance, and the power armor who attacked the trio earlier. And Saria thinks it's either under the authorization of Ferdinand, or Kirsten. Their conversation is then interrupted by Hoalhair, who is here to chat with them and stops the acquaintance from giving more info. The man knows her, and it seems he has been under the surveillance of whatever company she came from. Hoalhair then gives the man a drink. It seems he can't refuse it, so he drinks it, and soon has a seizure. The doctor takes care of the man, while Saria begins to fight that birdie. Hoalhair proved she can hold out against Saria. But after Mechanist comes in to help, she tells them don't be too eager to make an enemy of anyone. And leave the bar by misdirecting Saria's arts to create a hole on the wall. The trio then pursue her into an alley. But 6 power armors come to attack them, but the trio manages to prevail. Then the 7th comes in, moving a little differently than the others. Saria closes in and was about to destroy the thing. But the doctor remembers what Hoalhair said to not eagerly makes an enemy. And after noticing something weird in that power armor, the doctor spontaneously shouts at Saria to stop. She manages to prevent her fist from colliding. but the shockwave is enough to destroy the outer shell of the armor, revealing someone is inside, and it is none other than Mulces. Poor Mulces was put into the armor by that birdie. Her condition is awfully weak, but she used all of her strength to write the number 359 using her water arts. She was trying to inform them to stop the experiment at Site 359. Back at the Site 359, inside the laboratory complex, the group keeps moving from one corridor to another to reach Dorothy. Silence notices Eleanor is keeping her distance from the group, and sees her keeping a log. Here we know Eleanor was tasked by Ferdinand to observe Dorothy and her experiment. Eleanor is also Dorothy's assistant, and definitely knows more about the silver object. So Silence asks her to tell everything about it. Eleanor hesitates as Silence is not the project member, but said those silver object or construct are the byproducts of the experiments that the Originium Arts and Energy section has been working on. Once they are at the core of the facility where Dorothy is located, Sunny orders his men to point their weapons at Dorothy. It's revealed 3 days ago Sunny went to see Dorothy to volunteer as a test subject, but when he found her, he saw those silver objects flying around her and Dorothy was talking to them. Dorothy says they are indeed a part of her experiment, and that the initial purpose of this experiment was to help the pioneer against the danger of the Colombian wilderness. But soon the silver object manages to enter the room and protect Dorothy. All hell break loose. One of the pioneer named Sam was injured when he blocked an attack for Sunny, which angered him and charges forward to Dorothy with a crossbow bolt in his hand. But as if there's an invisible wall in front of her, Sunny can't touch Dorothy. On the other side, Elena revealed more details about this experiment. As the situation is getting out of hand, those silver objects are called the transmitter, and the energy department was responsible for developing the silver object material. They are sensitive to microvibration, and is an ideal medium to receive and encode neural signal, and can be used to replace traditional arts unit, which can turn ordinary caster into an outstanding one. Silence then deduce if those silver objects are arts unit, there's gotta be the caster who controls them. Telopsis suddenly wakes up, and is pointing at a certain door. Believing it's where the caster is located, Eleanor rushed to open it. Upon the door being opened, everyone is shocked. Dorothy stops resisting, and the silver object turns into a puddle of liquid. The caster are those who volunteered to be a part of the experiment, many of them being the pioneers and researcher colleagues. All of them lying unconscious, and they are connected to some sort of machine. Dorothy then explains the truth of this experiment. The main objective of Dorothy's experiment was to make everyone in an equal field. During the process, she developed a silver liquid, which can become a fine arts unit. Supposedly you can inject those silver liquid to yourself to enhance your arts ability, but there's a risk if you do that. Whole Hair also used the liquid to remotely control the power armor. Anyway, Dorothy found a way to unite the mind of multiple people into collective consciousness. And after that, possibly Dorothy kind of extracting their minds into tangible form with the silver liquid, and turning those silver liquid to those silver object who moves around recently. And supposedly with that combined mind, they can better control those silver objects at a longer range and at greater quantity. Since the original goal was to help the pioneers, it seems Dorothy wants the collective consciousness to control those silver object and terraforming the land without any physical risk. All the people consciousness are put inside a hub, and in this hub, Dorothy created some kind of dreamland for those people. A place with no individual differences, where everyone is equal and happy, and a place where they can forget their worries. Dorothy mentions how unfair it is for Sunny and the others for being an infected, and ends up being so miserable despite working so hard as a pioneer. While some other infected like Eleanor and Silence can have almost normal lives because of how talented they are. With her technology, there will be no longer inequality like this. But Sunny and the others disagree. Dorothy's experiment is straight up madness, and it's only a short escape from reality. Silence also said the possible danger of this experiment. With the collective consciousness and the silver object, if it falls into the wrong hand, they can use it to unite numerous minds, and possibly creating a weapon of mass destruction. Knowing all of this, Sunny loses his cool and was about to shot Dorothy. But Telopsis soon awakes. Because of a unique chip inside her brain, she somehow can receive the information from the hub. The participants speak through Telopsis to let Dorothy go, as they volunteered on their own will and not forced by her. Despite that, the group still determined it's better to let them awake, and terminated Dorothy's experiment. Shifting to the main antagonist of the story. Here we know Ferdinand's true intentions. With the help of the colonel from the Colombian military, he wants to take over Rhinelab. He believes the current state of the company and its leaders' continuous absence have slowed down technological progress that they could have achieved. With him in charge, he believes he can create a new era of technological advancement. And much like the colonel, he also concerned about Terra's unstable geopolitics. If Rhinelab or even Columbia fall, a new era of technological advancement he hoped for is nothing but a dream. So now he wants to exploit Dorothy's experiment, turning it into some kind of living weapon of mass destruction that can be deployed anywhere on Terra, pretty much like what Silence feared. If Ferdinand succeed, Columbia will get an ultimate weapon that can protect the country from anything, and the country can keep making technological progress. He will also get the military's support, and it won't be long until he becomes the control of Rhinelab. On the Doctor's team, Mulces tells all she knows about Ferdinand and his plan. And now they have to stop Ferdinand from exploiting Dorothy's experiment. And the best thing to do is to find Kirsten herself and make her stop the experiment. The team deduce that Kirsten is in Rhinelab HQ. So they go there, while Mechanist prevents Hoalhair from interfering. Inside, the team unexpectedly meets Parvis. It's revealed Parvis already knows everything about Ferdinand and his plan. In one scene he even helps Ferdinand with some data. He is a sly opportunist who only engages in affairs if he is sure he can gain an advantage from it. Anyway, he's only here to observe what Saria and the others would do. And our protagonist continues their move. But Mulces accidentally triggered an alarm. And soon they are intercepted by Rhine defense members under Reggie. But Saria and Mulces easily take them down, and heads to Kirsten's office. Then the group meets with Kirsten. Saria asks her former friend whether she authorized the experiment. She said no, but clearly she knew about it. But doesn't give much care, as what important is her own research. The Doctor then made a bold move, telling Kirsten that we know the details of the experiment. And Telopsis, who is on Rhodes Island side, has the full information about the test site. Supposedly with the device inside her brain she can easily pass the info to anyone. So the Doctor use it as a bargaining chip. And we can give that info to the officials, Rhinelab rival, or the Mainlander. So if Kirsten wants to keep Rhinelab and her experiment alive, she has to intervene. Back at the test site, the situation calms down, and Dorothy agrees to halt her project. Here we know she came from the family of pioneers. Dorothy lost her mother in a catastrophe while she was out for work. Dorothy could end up having the same fate that day. But because she is talented, she was invited to attend a Polytechnic summer camp elsewhere. Ever since then, she always wanted to find a way to erase individual differences, making everyone equal or equally talented, so no more someone end up like her mother. Later, Rhinelab defense member move in. Ferdinand is now at the observation post and is about to restart Dorothy's experiment, with an even bigger result this time. But first he contacts Eleanor to withdraw from the site and he wants no questions. Hearing her boss' sudden order, Eleanor, sensing something was wrong. The defense member injects almost all pioneers with a mysterious reagent. saying it's in the procedure to avoid contamination. But Ellen realized it's actually the silver liquid. Eleanor also realized the Pioneer's wristband from Rhinelap has been modified so that it would function as some kind of connection to the hub, bringing their mind to the collective consciousness. So pretty much the Pioneers here are not for construction, but they all meant to become experimental subjects from the beginning. And soon the Pioneers who receive injections went unconscious. And Ferdinand proceeding his plan. With that many people in the experiment, it creates a giant silver construct that can devour almost everything. Everyone at the test site joins hands to defeat that silver, but to no avail. But then Dorothy, who is revealed to have implanted herself with a silver liquid, use her new amplified arts to create a sand barrier to trap the silver construct. But it won't be long until Dorothy exhausted all of her power. Eleanor thinks Ferdinand is behind all of this, so she goes with Mary and Sunny to his location. After they arrived, Elena rushed to confront Ferdinand, while the duo put their grudges aside to fight Ferdinand's security, fighting side by side once again to uphold justice. Eleanor then manages to confront her boss, demanding him to stop. Ferdinand is disappointed at what Eleanor has become. He thought his most precious protege would understand his action. Having enough, Eleanor strikes him, but soon she is subdued by the security. Meanwhile, the group at the test site struggles to fight the monstrosity, but all they can do now is only distract it, or establish contact with the outside to warn the people about this incident. But Dorothy got another idea. She is going to inject herself with a similar reagent that the defense member use, and use the modified wristband to connect herself to the hub. That way she might be able to stop it. Despite Silent's disapproval, she still injects herself with the reagent, and then connected herself to the collective consciousness, to her vision of a perfect world. And it is exactly what she expected. The world she has created is a real paradise. She can see all her friends, the participants of her experiment. All are happy and congratulate her for this achievement. But Dorothy remembers what her mother once told her. Her future doesn't belong to anyone. And these people's futures doesn't belong to Dorothy's as well. It's wrong to trap them in this fake dreamland. So she wishes her friends to wake up from this dream. And just like that, as if Dorothy's controlling the giant silver construct, the construct moves to the hub and destroys it, and thus destroying the silver construct. And all participants, the Pioneers, and Dorothy awake. On the other side, Ferdinand can't believe what Dorothy did. And almost immediately, the Colombian military sees a place. Ferdinand has been found guilty of conducting an illegal experiment. He said that it was just a misunderstanding and that the colonel can explain it. But as he about to mention the colonel's name, he can see the soldiers ready their weapons. So Ferdinand backs down, and surprisingly receives a call from Kirsten. After listening to what the doctor said, she intervenes and stops Ferdinand, saying what Ferdinand did will only destroy Rhinelap, and Rhinelap doesn't belong to him. So Kirsten promotes him from director to customer right there on the spot, cutting all his ties to Rhinelap, and also threatens to incarcerate him. He has lost, but still got a trick up his sleeves. Ferdinand uses an escape device to go to the underground. But soon he is intercepted by Hoalhea, who already knows she was never fully on his side. And it seems she's been in touch with Kirsten about Ferdinand this whole time. She's not here to kill or capture Ferdinand. First, she admired him as he didn't drag Rhinelap into a bigger mess even after he got caught. So that there is still hope for everyone in the future that wanted to make technological advancements in Rhinelap. But then Hoalhea taunts Ferdinand and put him to shame by destroying his gateway car to pieces, and instead preparing a power armor nearby to escape, so he can feel how his untrained body be inside one like Mool sees. Meanwhile, inside Kirsten's office, Kirsten thanked the group for their information, and said that Saria has saved Rhinelap once again. but Saria didn't say much and then leave with the group. Back at the test site, everything looks calm and everyone is saved. While Saria got a lead of Ferdinand's backer and will soon meet another informant. Later on, after gathering all the pioneers, Sunny and his team are ready to leave for another work. But this time his team got work recruitment from someone named Dijkstra. He thanks Greyy for Rhodes Island assistance and for not pressing charges for the kidnapping. But he still approaches Mary and said she could still arrest him for what he had done in the past. Sunny said he always regret what he did, and the reason why he was thinking to join Dorothy's experiment, so that he could have a chance to go back to the city and apologize for hurting Mary. Mary then hugs him, forgiving all that Sunny had done. But if Sunny ever do bad things again, she will drag him to the cell herself. On the other side, the Doctor and Mulsees can be seen talking. Rhinelap is responsible for cleaning up the site, but Mechanist informed the Doctor some Rhine personnel are salvaging the sites. Looks like this won't be the end of this kind of experiment. The Doctor then asks whether Mulsees is bothered by those experiments, or whether she is bothered by anything in particular. And Mulsees only says, when she is prepared to talk. The Doctor shall be the first to know. Shifting to Hoalhair and her team. She is calling someone called the Vice President, saying she had done her job to make sure no civilians will find out anything, and no one will use it against the Vice President in his next election. She also informs the Vice President she's on her way to the city of Max DC, but first visits Rhine HQ and meets Kirsten. Here it's revealed Hoalhair is the president of the Colombian Astrological Research Association and a member or hired by Mailander Foundation, an NGO organization that has a pretty shady background. But so far they can be considered as the good guy in Arknight's story. It seems the Mailander is keeping a watchful eye on Rhinelap, but Hoalhair isn't here as their representative. Hoalhair tells Kirsten she knew Rhinelap has been salvaging the test site and delivering experiment data or equipment to her personal laboratory. She also suspecting Kirsten didn't turn a blind eye to what Ferdinand did, but instead she uses him, so whatever that thing is now in her lab. But Hoalhair didn't put pressure on the topic. She only wonders what will be the next experiment that alters their very epoch, and prophesies that she will become the partner that Kirsten needed the most. While Kirsten herself does not care much. She only cares about the progress to achieve her ultimate goal. That is the truth of the sky and space of terror. Meanwhile, we see Ferdinand in the barren land. He put himself into a power armor and start walking aimlessly, but is intercepted by pioneers from Sunny's team who knew things he did. But Ferdinand keeps quiet, and before long, the pioneers attack him. And until this day, his fate is unknown. That should be all. Adios.